Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mike here with another video. It is officially Friday the 13th, so I thought it would be a good idea to run through a quick ranking video of where I would put every movie in the Friday the 13th franchise. Um, Leave your comments down below if you disagree, if you agree. Let me know what you think. And real quick, if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. So I'll get right into it. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. Let me give you guys a bigger view. There we go. So, first one, of course, Jason Goes to Hell. Um, I think the reasons are obvious, right? Jason's not really in the movie, right? You see him for first few minutes of the film. You see him for the last few minutes of the film. In between, his I guess his ghost or whatever's going from person to person. It's fucking weird. So didn't really care for it. I did have Kane Hodder for the appearances that Jason is in the movie. So I put that at number 12. Going into number 11, Jason X. Another one, obvious. I don't really consider this to be part of the franchise at all. But it's fun to watch. If you can separate yourself from or separate your how you feel about Jason X versus the rest of the franchise and just have fun with the movie. It can be enjoyable to watch. Um, it did have one of my favorite kills where he takes the girl and puts her face into the liquid nitrogen and then just smashes her whole shit on the table. Love it. So one of my favorite kills in the franchise. And then what else happens in that movie? Anything good? Yeah, we get Super Jason or Enhanced Jason, whatever you want to call him. Next up on my list at number 10 is going to be Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. This one's a guilty pleasure for me. It's low on my list because it's not a great movie, but I do enjoy it a lot. It is comical at times, but another one of my favorite scenes where the boxer is wearing himself out, trying to knock Jason out on the roof, and then with one swift punch, Jason knocks his fucking head off. It's great. Um, so a lot of people hate the movie. Again, not a great story, not a great movie, but can be fun to watch. Coming up after that is going to be I left that fun picture out. Coming up after that, number 9 is the remake of Friday the 13th. I believe this was 2009. I think we get the most intimidating version of Jason, as you can see here. Much bigger, tougher looking Jason. Um, I did like this movie for the fact that instead of remaking the entire part one, they just condensed everything that we saw in the original into the first opening sequence of the movie. That made it good because we get a lot more Jason. It gave us time for a brand new story. Um, a completely original story. So that made it good. It is low on my list because I feel like the tone of the movie, the cinematography of the movie, even the color, it didn't really catch the vibe of a Jason movie to me. It was fun to watch. I still go back and watch it if I'm in the mood for it, but it didn't really catch that Friday the 13th vibe. So it's pretty low on my list for that reason. Coming up next, let's see what we got here. Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. If you remember, this one takes place around a bunch of kids in a halfway house. And then also, Jason wasn't in this movie as well. Kind of like Jason Goes to Hell in a different way. It was more of a whodunit, right? The whole time you think you're watching Jason doing all these kills, and it turns out to be someone copycatting Jason. So I put it pretty low on my list for that reason. Maybe I should have put it a little bit lower, but it wasn't a bad movie. Next up after that, Part 7, The New Blood. Um, I really didn't like this movie, and now that I look at it, maybe I should have put it a little bit lower on the list. Um, every time I watch the series, the order of how I rank them changes. This one sometimes is lower, sometimes a little bit higher, depends on how I feel. But I never really liked this telekinetic thing they had going on with the final girl. I'm okay with Jason being supernatural. I've accepted that. I'm not okay with someone beating the shit out of Jason with their mind, which is ultimately how she defeated him. So that one was a little weird to me. I never really cared for it. Now that I look at it, I wish I'd have put it a little bit lower. And then coming in at number six on my list is going to be Friday the 13th Part 3 or Part 3D, depending on which way you watch it. Um, Again, not a great story, but it's a ton of fun to watch if you have the old school 3D glasses with the red and blue lenses, which is the only way I actually watched this movie. I have the box set with the uh, collector's glasses and everything, so a lot of fun to watch it that way. Also, the final act in this film is one of my favorite final acts in the franchise. Not the favorite, but one of my favorite. Moving on to number five. Oh, I've left that scene out there. Number five, Freddy versus Jason. So, fun fact: this was the first movie I saw in theaters. I was in high school when this movie came out, and I love the story. If you go back and look, there's a lot of different scripts out there for different ways this movie could have ended up, um, but the version that we got was amazing. I loved Freddy jumping into Jason's dreams while he's dead. Telling him go back to Elm Street. Jason racks up a little bit of a body count, creates a ton of fear. Of course, everyone in Springwood believes it's Freddy doing all the damage. So, um, and then the fight scenes were great. They were really intense. At sometimes they were funny, which is typical Freddy Krueger fashion to be funny. In terms of the cinematography, the tone, the color, the vibe of this entire movie felt more like an Elm Street movie. Um, but that's what made it great. Moving forward from that, oh, left these out again. Look at that. Moving forward from Freddy vs. Jason, in at number four is going to be Jason Lives Part 6. Again, this sometimes is much higher on my list. Sometimes it's a little bit lower on my list. Um, but this is one of my favorite films. I didn't really care for the way that Jason was brought back with the bolt of lightning, but I did like this look here. This was one of my favorite looks for Jason. Um, and then also we get uh, Tommy Jarvis. I almost called him Tommy Doyle. We get Tommy Jarvis in this movie. And of course, he's older. He's not the kid that we saw in part four, right? Um, he just got out of the mental institution. No one believes him that Jason's back until the body count starts to rack up. Um, I actually really like that movie a lot. Moving on to number three on my list, probably going to be a little controversial. Is going to be part one. Um, this one never really gets much higher on my list than maybe number three or four. Today I'll put it at three. Like I said, that changes every time I watch the series. Um, Jason's not in this movie. And that was one of the reasons I never really put it high up. As a kid, I didn't really care for it because you want to see Jason. It's the reason you're watching these films, right? As an adult, I look at it much differently. I really appreciate the cinematography. I appreciate just the color, everything that they do with this movie, and the suspense at the end with Mrs. Voorhees when you find out it's Mrs. Voorhees and the conversation that happens between them before she tries to kill the final girl. Really cool stuff. So I appreciate it now much more. There's Mrs. Voorhees. And then moving on to number two on my list is going to be part two. This, of course, is the first appearance of Jason, and we get the potato sack Jason. Didn't really care for the jumpsuit he had on, the whole farmer look thing. But I did like the potato sack Jason. Nice little callback to the town that dreaded sundown. If you've ever seen that, I think it's probably where they got the idea for this look. Also, one of my favorite final girls. This ending was super intense, so I really like this one. Um, and then in at number one is Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. This is where you know it's widely considered probably the scariest and probably the best in the franchise. I would agree with that. This is where we see the strongest version of Jason. I mean, this guy's literally walking through doors like they're made of paper. So we see a really strong Jason in this movie. In the final act, we get Tommy Jarvis, who he shaves his head off, comes out looking like Jason as a kid. I remember as a kid watching this movie. This scene probably scared me more than Jason did. So it's one of the reasons I put it at number one on my list. And that's everything. That's the full franchise. So a short video, just to let you guys know where I rank everything. Let me know what you guys think. Jump in the comments. Um, Let me know where you would rank your movies, and then also please subscribe um, if you haven't yet. So that's it, guys. See you guys next week, and have a good one.